Hey guys, welcome again to the mastermind session, weekly mastermind session, where we meet very shortly, 30 minutes maximum, for a short, crisp, but yet valuable, learnable thing for you, especially related to public speaking. But at times we go far beyond. And in my endeavor to provide you quality services, in my endeavor to provide you some amazing gifts, I keep bringing a lot of speakers from across the world. And today's speaker is special, really special, because I know her very well. And before I tell her name, I want to start this incident. In 3 years back, I was in my office walking down, and somebody said, "Hey, Haritosh, my name is Haiba. Do you want to be my mentor?" I was a little taken aback, but that was the day we got connected, and it's been more than 3 years now, and close to 3.5 years now, and we have been connected. We have been working together, and I'm really proud and happy and so fascinated by the progress that she has done in the last 3 years. It's none other than one of our certified coaches from Small Town Bigger Dreams Academy. Taima Mahmood is also a published author, amazing 5-star reviews. She's also a women entrepreneur and really proud. And today, what she's going to do is talk about, I'm not going to reveal the secret, I'm going to let her do. But just a reminder for you, if you have not yet seen, all these sessions get recorded and will be posted on our portal. So if you have not done, get in touch with me or Achal, get access to the portal, and you can always go ahead and get the recording of the session. So let's give a big round of applause to Taiba and tell us what you want to talk about.
First of all, thank you so much, Haritosh, for that heartfelt introduction. I think Haritosh and share a very deep bond as mentor mentee. I think there are very few mentor mentees who share this kind of bond that I and Haritosh share. It's somewhat similar to what Tony Robbins has had with his mentor Jim Rohn. Very close. Every time he goes to speeches, he always talks about his mentor, and so I think we are very fortunate in that sense that Haritosh is committed to excellence. Um, I get inspired every day watching his videos, watching his content, be it his videos or his podcast or his written content. Everything inspires me in very, very dynamic ways. The way he has built up his tribe gives me inspiration and motivation to do so much more. And, I heartily thank you, Haritosh, for bringing me here. It's an absolute pleasure and an honor to come and share the stage with you. So, thank you. So, now let's move forward. And today, what we are going to talk about is uh, something which is a very big part of public speaking. As they say, it's not about what you say, it's about how you say. I'm not saying that content doesn't matter at all. 50% weightage does go to content. If you do all the voice modulation, all the things right, but if the content is not up to the mark, it will fail anyway. But having said that, if you have prepared your content, if you have done your research, if you have got your ideas, put a structure to your speech, the next biggest task as a public speaker is delivery, and that's what I'm going to talk about. And now the delivery, when we talk about delivery, there's a whole new world out there where we have, I have divided delivery skills into three major chunks, which is engagement through voice. How do you use your voice to create engagement? Then comes your body language. And in body language, there are so many different things like your eye contact, like your posture, like your gesture with your hands, like the stage movement if you are on a big stage, like your facial expressions. And then comes speaking for clarity, which is about fluency and pronunciation. A lot of times people use the best material. They have the best body language, but what they miss out is on the fact that they are not fluent or they are not confident on the words that they're using. So delivery skills, as I said, is a big part of our public speaking. Delivery skills is a very big part, but I will only take the part where we talk about engagement through voice. So, how do we use our voice for engagement? And there are four P's for engagement. The first P is power. Now, what is power? Power is nothing but using your voice so that the person who's sitting in the front row is not overwhelmed, and the last person who's sitting at the end of the room, if you are in a physical room, he can easily hear your voice and he can hear you loudly and clearly. So, the first thing is no matter how amazing your content is, if people can't hear you, then your speech is gone. So, the first thing that you must do when you are going out there, especially when you're doing, be it an uh, online scenario or be it an offline scenario, make sure, ask beforehand. If you're on a virtual meeting like Zoom, ask people, can you hear me, can you see me? That's a basic check that you do, because sometimes you might be speaking on mute, right? So there's that always thing that a lot of us have done. When we started speaking on mute. So always do a voice check. Is your voice lagging? Is it coming properly? If you are in a small room, again you should do a check. So the first is power, and again, as I said, it should not be overwhelming. For the first row person, the person who is sitting the first row, he should feel that you're not shouting, and the person who is sitting at the end should also be able to listen you loudly and clearly. So that's the first P, that is power, that is using your voice to project power. Now the second way to actually improve your presentation is the P for pace. Now what is pace? Pace is very simple. Pace is the rate at which you speak. Now there are moments when you want to increase your pace, when you're trying to show excitement, when you're happy, you want to be showing that excitement, you want to be loud, you want to sound different, right? But when you're sharing a sad news, when you're telling something serious, you should go in that slow pace. So pace is again a very important element. You should not be, you should kind of mix and match your pace. It should not be a monotone. It is said, I read that book called The Art of Public Speaking, and in that book it was written that what public speaking is like singing. It is so much like singing. If you're listening a song which is at the same monotone, you will drop off. And that's what happens in public speaking also. If I keep speaking at the same rate, you will lose your attention. And this happens so much in the virtual world that uh, you're not being uh, able to you're not being able to use your voice in different ways. So it is so recommended that you actually use your voice and you actually use good voice modulation in order to mix and match with your audience. So a good way to practice your pace is read children's storybook. Now what it does is, when you read it for the first time, you sort of feel this thing wherein you know you're reading it, and there are passages where you have to move a little faster, and there are passages where you have to slow down and record yourself and see how you did. Okay, so the first time that you will read, it would be like an assessment. If you're reading too fast, If you are speaking too slow, it would be like an assessment. And then again, try to pace up those paragraphs where more energy is required, more excitement is required, and slow down where the paragraphs need more seriousness, more depth. And the second thing that you can do is try reading different newspapers and reports. Now, what it does is when you read newspapers or more formal kind of uh, text, you again get a feel of how you do when you're reading out, or when you are sharing a formal material, or you are giving a formal presentation. The first one that I told, reading a storybook, that gives you an idea how you would be like a storyteller when you're telling a story, narrating an incident. But the second one is more inclined towards how would you be if you actually go in a formal scenario and you present yourself. And the third thing is, again, practice. Practice on your phone, practice recording yourself. The more you record yourself, the more you analyze how you're doing on your pace, you will understand at one point of time that maybe I'm too fast, maybe I'm too slow. And don't just hold on your recording to just yourself, share it with family members and smart critics. Now, who are smart critics? Smart critics are those people, they will not go behind your back. They will point at the exact problem, the exact point where you are lacking, and they will tell the exact strategy to fix that problem. So there are people out there, who are mentors like Haritosh. You can take help from me, or you can. There are so many people in the world you can connect for improving your pace. So that is the second P. The third is pitch. Now this is where it gets quite interesting. Now pitch is like the way you use your bass voice. We all have a low pitch, how we speak softly, and then a very high pitch, right? So we must be able to modulate our pitches according to the situations. Again, a low pitch is again required when you're sharing something which is serious and which is something in depth, and a high pitch is required when you are sharing something which is exciting and something which is full of energy or happiness. That is where high pitch is required. So again, recording yourself is one of the ways to actually understand. And you can increase your speed just to see that are you too fast, are you too slow, just to get a flair that if people watch you at high speed, how do you sound? Okay, so these are some ways. And again, practicing your own speeches with different variety of pitches. Okay, and it is said that your opening and your end should always be opened with a high pitch. Why is it said that you should open and close with a high pitch? Because your first words and last words are always remembered by the audience. So you want to make sure that you create that impact when you're opening a speech or when you're closing that speech. So it is so important that you take the time out to understand where you need to kind of have a low pitch, where you need to have high pitch, and go to different audiences and ask people that okay, where do you think I can maybe amp up my pitch, or maybe I need to slow down. Your audience is your biggest asset, and you should use audience feedback to your advantage. Every time you're going to a new group of people, you're exposing to new eyes. And I think one of the best ways to, if you really want to excel, one way is actually going to people and mentors, and another way is also taking strangers opinion. Now when you're taking a complete strangers opinion, it is totally honest. Sometimes there might be people who are too harsh or too critical, that you would understand and you can brush that off. But most of the time people, when we meet a stranger, they're very honest about us because they're not attached to us. So henceforth the advice or the feedback that comes is very honest and upfront. So you can use it when you can go to different clubs or different places to speech, and you can just pull up a few people after your speech is over and ask, hey, where do you think I can improve? And that will give you very honest opinion, because that person just has heard you for the first time, and that person is going to be very honest and upfront. So there comes pitch. Now pitch is also about emphasis. When I want to emphasize on certain words, like I say water pollution. Now I specifically said the word pollution with more emphasis. So that is again, when you give special emphasis to words, that again comes under pitch. You give a different vocal variety to that one particular word where you want to give more emphasis on. So you want to highlight your keywords of your speech in a very emphatical manner. You want to put special emphasis on your keywords. Why? You must be thinking, why should I give that special emphasis? The reason is, an 18-minute keynote, people only remember a very few words. So you want to make sure that you use emphatic language. Emphasis is given enough on those words which you want to highlight. So pitch is like that highlighter, like just like we use highlighter in our when we are reading something important and we want to highlight it. The similar way, pitch is like that highlighter. It highlights specific words to your audience. And then the final one and the most powerful one is pause. And intentionally, I took a pause to show you the effect of a pause. Now, pause can be used in many different ways. When somebody asks you a question, you don't have to jump in immediately. You can actually take a pause and then speak. Now, this is a, people say it is a 10-second rule. A lot of people say that, it it gives you a very charismatic effect. When you don't immediately start speaking and you take 5 to 10 seconds to think and ponder about the ideas that you're going to share. In this way, it actually amps up your impromptu speaking skills, because you are thinking on your feet, but again, you are not speaking haphazard in a haphazard manner. You have sort of organized your thoughts in 5 to 10 seconds. So, when somebody is asking you a question, you don't have to just jump on that question immediately. You can start with some common sentences like, it's an interesting question, and then slowly answer it. So, and there are different ways in which you can use pause. It can also be used to gauge the audience's reaction. A lot of time when we are actually speaking, we forget there are people who are listening to us, and the moment you see there's somebody who's disengaged, you can actually spot that person and say, hey, I feel there's a question coming up in your mind. Would you like to ask, or can I address it? So immediately when you address that concern or that doubt, that you know that cynicism which the audience member had, it sort of goes away. So when you're taking pauses again, you see your audience members faces, their reactions, and they are sort of more keenly listening to you. Because when we stop for even a few seconds in a speech, it looks really long, and it brings in a lot of curiosity in the audience's mind. What is this person going to say next? Another interesting thing that pause brings is, it gives you time to just recollect your own thoughts. You might have a very big speech, and once you take a pause, the second point, the third point, and the fourth point, right? So again, it is very interesting. Another way in which we can use pauses is when we are asking a question. So the ideal way to listen, how much pause should you take? That is a big question that audience, that public speakers have. That how much pause should we take when we are, pausing in between when we are asking a question? Pause as much as it would be required to ponder and think the answer. If you think the answer would be given in 5 seconds, pause for 5 seconds. If you think the answer would come in just 2 to 3 seconds, pause for 3 seconds. And then this last one is used by a lot of stand-up comedians and so many different people, is humor. When you're cracking a joke, you don't want to start the next joke again. You want to let the audience settle down and let them absorb and enjoy and have a moment. And that's where you use pauses. So the 4 P's that we discussed was power. Make sure when you're going out there, always do a mic check. Person in the front and the last, everyone should be able to hear you and hear you effectively. Second was, again, pace, the way you're speaking, the speed at which you're speaking. Then comes your pitch, wherein you, how much loud or low you speak, and emphasis that you give on words. And finally was pauses. So next time when you're going to practice a speech or give that speech, do uses the 4 P's in your voice modulation, and you would be astonished how much of a difference your speech would make in the audience's mind. So use the 4 P's.
Awesome, awesome. Can we give a big round of applause to Taiwa? This is amazing. Public speaking is such an amazing thing. Public speaking also starts with, I'm just kidding. But
Yeah.
yeah, the 4 P's are really, really important. So I loved the insight. So thank you so much, Taiba. So that's it, everyone, for today's mastermind session. Practice, master, and immerse yourself into the 4 P's, which will help you power your public speaking. So thank you so much, everyone. We'll see you next week. Until then, as I say every time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep going out of your comfort zone. We'll be back for session 23, if I'm not wrong, for the mastermind group. See you next week.